Good morning and happy Tuesday, everybody. Everybody go out and have a fabulous week. I want everyone to know that we all go through trials and tribulations, and we all have a testimony. And here is one of mine.
I lived in Baltimore, Maryland. I was working in this mall in Waldorf, Maryland. I forget the distance, how long it was, but the company, it was a shoe store in a mall, and I worked up and down the East Coast. Sometimes opening stores, sometimes fixing them, bringing the numbers back up, bringing the company dollars. So I ended up in Waldorf, Maryland, and when I went in, I first had to um, changed a lot of the employees to bring up morale in the store. And I believe about two or three employees ended up staying. They were good employees. After about, I want to say a month and a half, numbers started changing and going higher for the better. And one day I was on break, on lunch, I should say, and I got a phone call from my assistant manager, just letting me know I needed to get back to the store because something was going on. She didn't tell me what was going on. She was in a panic, wanting me to come back in the store from my lunch. So I walked back to the store, and as I'm walking into the store, there was an employee that was supposed to be stocking in the back, and he comes out. He's making ruckus. He's very hostile in the store. We did have employees being helped, and he starts using foul language. And there was a family in there, maybe two kids, mom, dad, and then another family. So I kindly asked him to go home for the day because there was no need for the language or acting up as you are. And he refused. He didn't want to go. So at that moment, I said, "Well, you need to clock out, and I'll contact you when to come back." And he then again refused and said, "Well, I need my money." And I said, "Well, you know the process and the procedure of getting your paycheck. So you will be getting a paycheck, and I'll speak with HR and my GM about further notice." And so then the police were called out to come escort him out because he did not want to leave. He was real furious and using a lot of vulgar language. So the police came, they escorted him out, and that night, I do believe we were closing within the next half an hour. So um, we ended up finishing out the night, and I want to say a couple weeks later, that's when my GM came out and wanted to make sure everything was okay and checking up on the store. And I ended up having to stay a little longer because I had to make sure everything was in order, especially with my GM being there, and make sure that we had a good visit. So I ended up having to stay later till close. I didn't have to close the store, but I had to stay later till he finished the visit. And I was supposed to leave at 8. I ended up leaving at like 9:30. So as me and my GM were talking on the sales floor, the phone rang, and I politely told him I need to go answer this because all my salespeople were helping other customers. Everyone was busy, so I went and answered it. When I picked up, no one said anything. I thought it was weird because there was never a phone call like that. And I said hello like three times, and I heard breathing, but no one said anything. So I hung up, thought nothing of it, and I want to say about a half an hour later, I ended up getting off. Like I said, I didn't close the store, so I left right like me and my GM had finished up our visit in the store. So then I ended up leaving. I clocked out, and then as I'm walking out, I'm approached by a gentleman, and he wants my money.
So that was just my intro to my testimony. Come back next week to listen to some more.